Now talk.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
There we go.
All right, we're on now.
Should be.
All right, we had a little technical glitch. We're okay now, though. Somebody's calling. Washington, Michigan. You want to answer it?
No.
Hello.
You're online.
I don't know. I thought maybe it was somebody calling about the audio or something. All right, all good now. All right, we're good. We're good. Okay, right on. Okay. Yeah, so let me back up where I started off. Had kind of a break in the action today. We had a processing day yesterday, and we have a processing day tomorrow because so many people are raising chickens now that we had to go 2 days. And that actually, works into my subject for tonight. But today was the day when Joe comes by, and normally we do video work. But I had to beg off from video work because I've got a lot of work to do to get ready for Tribe Day, which we're, just to give a number, I'm just doubling what we had last year and shooting for that. We had 85 people last year. So let's say that we could have 160, 70 people this year. We could. Things have really changed. We have the campground now, and just a lot of things has changed in 1 year. So I got a lot of things that I have to get done before that happens. I got a lot of messes that need to be cleaned up. I need to make it scrap run. We're in the middle of building a chicken house, and I'd like to have that done so we just don't have a half-finished project out there. Got some painting to do and got some mowing to do. Hay season is still with us. If I can break off and cut some more hay. So, I'm busy. I'm really busy, and but that's okay. I like being busy. I'm not complaining. I signed on for that. And well, we were having lunch today, and then we had to have a little bit of a business meeting afterwards. And I said something like, it's a blessing to be able to have something to do that's productive all the time. It really is. I mean, we're not just spinning our wheels here just to see how fast we can spin them. The things that we're doing are generating income for the farm. And I had to go into Cadillac to get a tool for something that we're doing. And on the way home, we started talking. It was just me and the two younger boys, 13 and 11. And we were talking about the difference between working for somebody and being an entrepreneur. And the reason that came up is because my son Keith, who's 18, he's been an EMT, full-fledged EMT now for about a month. And he got a call from a fire department in the Cadillac area, and they asked him if he would like to come on as a full-time employee. And so that was kind of the buzz around here today. That doesn't usually happen. To firemen. They usually, there's a process of being in it for a little while and, making a good impression and stuff like that. But within a month, he made such a good impression on these guys that they said, hey, come back to work for us full time. And so he's going to do that. And so we were talking about that with the boys, and they were saying, maybe I'd like to be a fireman and things like that. And so the conversation went from there. And I think that I said something like, being a fireman is a really good job because you go in and pull a 48-hour shift. Well, you've got your 48 you've got 48 hours for the week, and you've done it in 2 days. And then you have your most precious commodity is your time that you could do other things good stuff, fun stuff. Not that being a fireman probably is fun too. But so we were just talking about that. And we talked, yep, the cleric, I see you. Crunchy's with us. Shaw Lake's with us. Sean Wise is with us. Hi, Nance. And so the conversation went from there. And then the conversation about the side hustle, because like Keith does that. He's got a certain kind of car that he buys, a Chevy Cruze, and he's learning that car very well. Anything that goes wrong with that car, he can fix it. He's got a lot of spare parts, and he buys them really cheap, puts new engines in them or whatever he's got to do, and then flips them. And he's making pretty good money doing that. That's his little side hustle. And if he stays with that, I'm sure he'll try out a different car. And, there's always Chevy Cruzes around to buy. So anyway, that was the conversation. And when we had to, there's a subject that we're going to have to broach. And so I'm going to do that a little bit tonight. And let's see, how do I get there? I titled this The Big Lie, right? And everybody has probably seen the VeggieTales, The Big Lie, right? And I want to explain that as it pertains to what we are doing, you guys and us. And I'm coming to you as maybe an older guy, right? So I'm maybe the sergeant and you're the new recruit. And I'm going to say, okay, here's some of the things that I've experienced. And I want to pass these things on to you because it is in my best interest for you to someday be on this side of the desk. All right. I hope that makes sense. That is a principle of homesteading and small farming. That does not necessarily happen in industrial agriculture because they have this mindset that they are all competing for a small number of dollars. And so they don't share information. They don't help each other. And they actually kind of are like turkeys. They step up on each other. If one of them gets wounded, he went out, and that's not good. We don't want to be there. And I talked a little bit, maybe a couple of days ago, maybe even last Friday. So I got on a rant, I guess, and was talking about how can we push other farms forward, right? So the way it's done in the military, it's done in other paramilitary organizations as well, like a fire department or something like that. As you move up and you become more senior and you master the tasks that you're supposed to know how to do, you create a vacuum behind you and someone needs to fill that spot, right? And a lot of times, the quicker you can get the guy behind you up to speed, the quicker you can advance, right? So it behooves you to always be training your replacement, always training your replacement. So let's say right now in this organization, there's one guy that does what I'm doing right now. One guy, just one. And I want to go on to the next thing. So I need somebody to come and replace me. I need somebody behind me. But if I want this operation to succeed, I'm going to train up about 10 people. And that way, if one of them's a little weak on something, then maybe another one is strong on it and it'll balance out. And we've just created a base of people who can create a base under them, who can create a base under them, and so on and so on. You ever see that commercial about one person tells two people and then they tell two people? That goes way back because we haven't had TV in 20 years. So a lot of times I say, you ever see that commercial as if you guys remember from 20 years ago? And you probably don't, but that principle is at work here. All right. So we brought up the fact that we contact a lot of people via this channel and other things that we do. And I'm not convincing anybody that they need to do this. People say, I want to do this. And hey, this guy seems to know what he's talking about. So that's what's going on. It isn't like I'm not talking anybody into homesteading or small farming. I don't believe I am. I think there's something that burns inside of you and you want to do it. And then when you see it, you say, yeah, that's where I'm going to go. That's what I want to do. And I've been there too. I think for me, when I was stationed at Maelstrom, my last duty assignment, we wound up at a place out of town, 13 acres, had a creek going through it. Jill had a horse. We lived in town and we were renting space at somebody else's barn. And living in town was really not for us. We were leaving town every weekend to go do something else. And, I've told you there was things that just really bothered me about town. You could smell your neighbors, you could hear them. Everybody had barking dogs. It was just insanity living in town. Everybody had barking dogs. The back door of my house, if I went out that back door, the lady across the alley, she slept days. I don't know why. She was retired. She was an older woman, but she had 2 Yorkshires, 2 little Yorkies. And when I would come out the back door, they would come unglued. And she slept with the window open. And then she would yell at me. And so that was not a good thing. I had to wind up going out the front door of my house just so I wouldn't upset her. And when I left there, she wouldn't even talk to me because of that. But anyway, who cares? But town was not for us. It just was not for us. And we moved out of town. And when we moved to the first farm, it wasn't like I had this burning desire to raise chickens. I did. No. I mean, the first thing about that farm that I saw that I really liked was it had a creek and we could swim in the creek. That looked pretty cool. And then when fall came, wow, there was pheasants and I could shoot pheasants with my shotgun. I could hunt on my own land, and that's pretty cool. And then one day I was coming home from work, and I stopped at a feed store for something, and I bought some chickens, and I brought them home, and I said, hey, why don't we do this, and we can have our own eggs? This would be fun. And we'd sit there and watch the chickens, and I think that first year we actually had a garden because we had a garden in town, so that would have been something that we would have done. Yeah, I believe we did. And then it kind of went from there. Same feed store. They had little pigs. And I bought 4 of them. They were like $30 a piece. And, it just kind of went from there. And then I fenced my place. And then I bought some steers. But I had a friend that lived a couple miles away. And he was a professional farmer. His name was Paul Henderigger. And he was more of a rancher than a farmer. So he had brood cows, Herefords, polled Herefords, and then he cut hay and stored the hay and sold the hay, and he sold the calves from his cows, and he would even sell breeding stock out of it. Now, looking back on it, I understand it, but back then, I had no idea what he was doing, except for selling hay. I knew he sold hay, but I couldn't tell you what he sold it for, how much it was worth. It really didn't interest me. But what did interest me was his way of life. He got up in the morning and went out and went to work, but right there. And here I was getting up in the morning and I was driving an hour and 10 minutes to work. And honestly, a lot of times towards the end of my career, a lot of it was just waiting to give advice or to direct, or, it wasn't like digging ditches, right? So I wasn't busy a lot, and I would get up in the morning, be driving to work thinking, I would like this so much better if I were building fences or digging ditches or, working on my property, improving my property. My first farm was just 13 acres, so there wasn't a whole lot there. But we did do some really, really cool things there. I learned a lot. But anyway, when I moved to Michigan, I had it in my head that I wanted to do what my friend Paul did. I wanted to make a living working at my farm. And I didn't spend a lot of time listening to what people were saying. That, that wasn't my plan. And I kind of I've been criticized for that. Like, you won't listen to anybody. And sometimes you don't want to listen to other people because they can say something to you. And this is what I'm talking about right now, is the big lie. They can say something to you and it sets your mind in motion that this is not going to work. Okay? So what's the big lie? It's really easy. You hear it all the time. The big lie is there ain't no money in farming. That's the big lie. And when you dissect that statement, right, there ain't no money in farming, it's almost like it was created by somebody who wanted to sound like a farmer. Somebody been farming their whole life. So they would say ain't, right? They would say ain't. I've got a lot of farmer friends, and I don't think any of them use the word ain't, right? Most of the people that are in this now drool too much. They're actually a pretty good class of people. Actually, an outstanding class of people now. We've really changed things, right? I remember when I first started, there was a lot of people that thought that farming was just a good way they could hang out all day. And somehow, if they say they were farming, then they were farming. And somehow there was going to be like a check coming in the mail or something. I'm not sure. And I might have believed something along those lines for a while, like, well, let's just fake it until we make it type thing, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Fake it till you make it, right? You don't need to know everything. That's probably a pretty good principle. You don't need to know everything in this. This is not flying airplanes. It isn't. And you do not need to know everything there is to know. Or shrimping. It ain't shrimping. Like Bubba, he knows everything there is to know about shrimping. But you don't need to know everything there is to know. You need to know some stuff. So the big lie is there ain't no money in farming. And okay, there's that first part, the ain't part. And then there's the money part, right? As if working a job, and let's say you're making $25 an hour, is a really great, a really great thing. Well, let's say I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm making $25 an hour, but my apartment is $1,200 a month. Well, at $25 an hour, that's not quite as good as if my apartment was, let's say, $250 a month. And it could be the same apartment, but one's in Minneapolis and one's in Derry, New Hampshire, let's say. And a nice apartment in Derry might be, probably $400 a month, let's say. But in New York City, it might be $2,500 a month, or it might be $3,700 a month. It's crazy what rents are these days. So generally what I found was you need to look at your economy, like not the economy, it's your economy. And I say that a lot. And I say that because I have found that it really depends where you live. Where I lived in Great Falls, Montana, out in the sticks, there wasn't anything really to spend my money on. I mean, you could probably go to the general store and you could buy beer and chips and stuff like that. But if you didn't do that, well, what were you going to spend your money on? So you didn't really even go in there, unless we're going to get, I don't know. I went in there a handful of times when I lived there. Sometimes I get pumpkin seeds probably. But if you were in, say, Minneapolis, you would have to stop and get your food to cook that night, or you'd have to go out to a restaurant. So your economy in, say, Minneapolis is going to be far more expensive than my economy was in Great Falls, because we were forced to, because a lack of restaurants and stuff. No, there was a few restaurants in Great Falls, but I actually lived in Fort Shaw. So there was in Fort Shaw, I don't think there was a restaurant. No, there was no restaurant. And there was no general store either. You had to go to the next town over. So there's nothing to spend my money on there. So what we did was we had food at the house. I had a kind of a 3.2 kids and a wife, and Jill cooked, and I worked in the garden, and I worked in the pig field, and I worked, playing with the kids and stuff like that. But my job was, off farm. So my economy was pretty good, actually, because I didn't spend money on stuff. I had kind of gone through that, and I didn't need to do that. So then we moved here, and I did get a lot of pushback on going into farming, and people were like, "Ain't no money in farming. You're wasting your time. You're just fooling around. You're gonna." There was actually a guy from the church that we started going to. He says, "Well, a lot of us have tried it, but maybe you'll make it." He said, "Maybe you'll make it." And I just looked at his abilities. I looked at how he kept things and stuff, and I said, I could do better than that. I can do better than that. And I made the decision to think outside of the box, way outside of the box. Like, none of these guys would think of, oh, I'm going to have a butcher shop on my farm. None of these guys were thinking that they wanted to create their own markets. So they were going to raise field crops, commodity crops. They were going to sell those crops, and they thought that was going to make them on their land and their fuel, and still have enough money aside to buy toilet paper. And a lot of them didn't. And they're like, there ain't no money in farming, right? So I heard it a lot. And I mean, it did affect me, because there was times when I said, yeah, I probably ought to bag this and get a job. I probably should. And there were people close to me that would say stuff like, oh, all farmers do is screw around all day. Like, we just play all day, And I think that when we got away from the model, the commercial model that we started out with, and we were in some ways being mentored by Department of Ag minions, kind of doing it their way. When we got away from that and said, hey, wait a minute, why should we listen to these guys? They don't farm. And how would they know what works and what doesn't work? It almost seemed like they were invested in our failure, right? It seemed like that. But back then I was like, no, that couldn't be. There's not. That's a conspiracy theory. You're dreaming things. You've got a persecution complex is what you are. You're probably a narcissist, right? I would hear stuff like that. And So we just kept putting our mind to what we were doing and continued to follow avenues of wealth that were productive. It's like if you're mining and you're going along and all you're getting is shale, then maybe we ought to do it differently. Maybe we should check over here. I'm getting gold over here. Let's switch back over here. That would be dumb, but that was kind of the direction. That was how we were directed, right? We weren't directed into the realm of profitability. So the big lie: there ain't no money in farming. It is a lie, and if I'm going to make a claim like that, I guess I better back it up, right? And I'm going to want to do that. So as we've gone along on this channel, we just talked about little bits and pieces of it that we were kind of thrilled about, and answer questions. And I have grown as well. Like, I was not at the level that I'm at right now a year ago. No. When you ask for information, you get it. And sometimes you get it with a fire hose. And sometimes you're giving answers and you're saying, how did I know that? But when you think it through, it's like, that's right. I did know that. How'd you know that? I don't know. I just knew it. It's kind of like that because you're immersed in this all the time. And then things kind of change. We've got children in the house that are learning and they're asking questions. And then one of them asks the questions and another one answers. And I'll be like, how'd you know that? And so you're immersed in a discipline that other people have points of view, and there's just learning going on all the time because it's a working farm, right? And then you add to that a show like this where people are asking you questions all the time. It's like, well, I never thought about that, but so long as we're talking about that, how about, and then I experiment with things and people tell me that they experiment with something and they give me input and then I pass it on, and so on and so on and so on. It's like if we were on an island and all we had to talk about was raising food, because that would be kind of important to us. We would just intuitively learn things and progress ahead. And that is what has happened. I've got to tell you, that has happened. A lot of it is when I spend time with people, and I'm looking at you right now, some of you, and like they're into what I'm into. I was it Woody Allen that said I would never want to join a country club that would let me in, something like that. It's like that, but it's in reverse. Like, oh, you guys are into this, and I like you guys. Hey, I mean, maybe I should be into this. Maybe I'm not just jerking or spinning my wheels. I know I'm not spinning my wheels, but a lot of times when people say that to you, it's like, well, maybe I am. Maybe they see something I don't know. Maybe they're from around here. Maybe they know more about this than I do. And I had several people. I can picture them, and I have respect for them, and they seem to have done quite well. And they would say, just wasting his time. He don't want to go to work, is what it is. He wants to just screw around on the farm all the time. I heard some of that. I've overheard it. It has made it way back to me from people that I had a level of respect for. I guess I had respect for them, and they'd say stuff like that. It makes it way back to me, and that kind of damaged for a while. But see, it's all changed now. Now we have a completely different class of people that want to farm. They want to homestead. They want to be more self-sufficient instead of just workers, right? In a centralized system, centralized food system, when I'm picking employees for my centralized food system, I don't want people that have the big picture. I want a guy that knows how to do this. You are a mule skinner. No, I'm actually a school teacher. No, you're a mule skinner. You will skin mules. Maybe you guys don't know where that's coming from. Maybe somebody will. Somebody will know what movie that's from. But agriculture has has very specialized functions. You have somebody who people who drive trucks, and that's what they do. You have people who butcher, and that's what they do. You have people who are farm and they grow commodities, and that's what they do. So, but in the homesteading, we're not specialized. We're running the whole shebang. That's what we're doing. And with that, we don't get bogged down with, let's say, 40 hours worth of driving a week. You don't go mind numb with that. All right. So let's just talk about there ain't no money in farming. Let's just talk about that. Let's use their vernacular and just let's examine that a little bit. And you guys could say to me just about any discipline, and I can show you that in that discipline there is money. Now let's talk about something that I know something about. I know about pigs, and I've got two sows out there right now that have each had 7 babies, right? 7 nice little Mangalitsa babies, and they're real healthy and they're doing fine. Now, if I sell those as just wiener pigs, we get $150 a piece for them. Actually, now we get a little bit more than that, right? The market is pretty good. So, all right, let's just kind of do the math on that a little bit. So I got a pig, and she's going to give me, let's say 7 or 8. Let's just say for the fun of it, let's just say 7. And she's going to give me that twice a year. So that's 14. And let's say we sold them all for $150. That would be, stand by, 6, 0, 0. That's $2,100. So let's say that I'm going to give her 5 pounds of feed per day, and my feed is 20 cents. So I'm gonna feed her $1 a day, 365. So I've got $2,100, and I'm gonna take off 365. 5, 9, 3, 7. That still leaves me with $1,735 per sow, right? Per year. That's going to be the profit on her, and she's going to do that for me. Let's say 5 times in her lifetime. So 1,730. No, let's say 6 and 35. 3 years, and that's an average. She's going to give me a little less, a little more, and then a little less. All right. At first, it's going to be a little less. Then in the middle, it might be up around 10 or 15, 10 or 12, and then it's towards the end, it's going to go down. So she's going to do that 6 times in 3 years. Okay, 6 times 5 is 30. 18, 19, 21, 32, 34, 64.10. And that's after I've taken all of her feed off. Now, maybe she's going to have a little bit of bedding or something like that. And that's in 3 years. And by the time she gets to be 3 years old, she's going to be about 600 pounds. And when I butcher her, I'm going to get about 400 pounds of usable meat. And we're going to make that into, let's just say for simplicity's sake, let's just say we're going to make it into breakfast sausage, and we'll sell it for $6 a pound. We sell it for $7.50, but let's just say $6. She's going to give me $2,400. We're going to take 2,400, and then add that is 8,188. So $8,818, and that's just one pig. That's one pig. That's over 3 years. Divided by 3, and you see what you get per year. Let's do that. Just for fun, divided by 3. Oh, well, I'm going to spend a lot of time doing this. Oh, I don't want to do it. So, but it's going to be in the $2,200 range, and that's one sow. One sow. So, if you go about keeping, let's say, okay, per year we're going to be 21,360. All right, let's say about 2250, and let's say that you decide to keep 100 of them. Let's add 2 zeros to the end, and we're at $225,000. Is $225,000 no money? Is that no money, or is that? I mean, could you make that working in a factory? I don't think so. So let's just, instead of 100, let's just keep, let's say we keep 10 of them. Okay, and that's going to put us at 2,200 or 22,000. 22,000. If we kept 10 of them. Is that no money? So why not keep 20 of them? And you'd be at almost 50,000. Now, in an economy like mine, that is a good source of income, right? That's a really good source of income. But it might not be quite enough. I mean, you might have to do something else. Well, what would that be? And that's a good question. What would that be? Maybe it would be butchering. That would be a good one that would go with that. But that would be something we'd have to talk about. I mean, it's not for everybody, and everybody's not set up for that. So have you read the Meat Inspection Act of 1906? I've been digging into the laws, regulations of non-USDA butchering lately. I have not. Maybe it would be interesting, right? It just started raining out. And we were working on the chicken house today. And I said, we better get everything cleaned up. And Joe was like, it's not like it's going to rain. It's raining. It's raining good. So when we have that mindset of, well, there ain't no money in farming, what that does, I think, is when you have a victory, like you you raise your first pig, you perform your first butchering, and then you eat your first pork chops on your own grill. There's still this little voice in the back of your mind that's saying, yeah, this is fun and everything, but there ain't no money in farming. Right? And I think what we're going to have to do for the people that pull ahead in their farming operations is we're going to have to exercise mind over matter. And for me, now that I have gotten to the point that I'm at, where I wouldn't say that I wouldn't go around and saying, well, we've arrived. I wouldn't say that. I don't know at what point I would say we've arrived. I just don't. I'd say we're at a point where I can really pour it on now, and I can do better every year by just making smart decisions and working hard. Like after I get done here, I plan to put in an hour or so before dark, just because I want to. I want this chicken house done, and I'm excited about it. So I'm going to do that. And when I do stuff like that, I'm thinking, well, there's a good reason for doing this. This isn't like playing golf. This isn't because I want to take a picture of it and put it on Facebook, although I may. It is creating wealth. It really is creating wealth. I mean, I'm adding to the structure of this farm. This farm has a lot more value now than when I got it. I mean, that's really where a lot of your gain comes from, is when you buy a farm that's beat up and crummy, and maybe it was just a place where they fed calves and they didn't take care of it, and there was junk everywhere, and there's diapers on the hay mow and used batteries, and the house was inhabitable. And then you fix it up. You've got a nice house because you fixed it up, or adequate. You fix up the barn, you make changes, you put fences in, you get a system going. Hey, you change the value of that property, and then your value has changed too. So there ain't no money in farming, right? Is there? I don't. You won't hear like Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus or any of those guys say, "Ain't no money in golfing." You won't hear them say that. But why is it that there ain't no money in farming thing is floated? Who does that? And who benefits from that phrase? I don't think that if I really wanted to figure that out, that I could track it down to one person, and it probably wouldn't even be in this state, or this, maybe even this century. I don't know. I think it goes back a lot further than that. But if we think critically about the world that we live in right now, which I think would be a good idea, we have to ask the question, who would benefit from a statement like that? Okay. Who would benefit? Is it a true statement? Is it a statement that is made by all of these people that live around me, that own land, that own lots of property, have a lot of equity? Is it coming from them? There ain't no money in farming. Oh, then why don't you just sell your place and get a job at the factory in town? Why don't you do that? I don't think it's coming from them. Because like me, we've all done this. We've all looked over the fence. I've even gone as far as, it was a little different for me than just money. It was, I felt totally alone. I felt as though my extended family thought less of me because I was farming. I did. Because the statements that were made about, well, you just screw around all day. And I started thinking, well, I suppose it looks that way, because here I am building a chicken tractor, and I suppose if a guy comes in here that's, got an industrial mindset, he'd say, "Oh, look at this. You're going to raise some chickens, are you, huh?" But then when we do the numbers on that, and there's 75 birds in there at a mean profit of $9 per bird, is that no money? No, that is money. So that their statements of there ain't no money in farming, I was myself after I achieved a place where I wasn't making mistakes constantly, right? I started making money. And actually, sometimes the profits were pretty dandy, hey, look at this. I never had a surplus of dollars like that before, and as a sergeant in the Air Force, I never had those kind of profits before. We would always, we'd get a little bit more money, and we'd buy something or make a little bit more payment on something, but we were never like, gee, we better invest this in something. We were never there before, and I didn't really understand how money worked either. I'm at a place right now where I'm just learning how to see money as a tool. It's a tool. It's there to do something, right? I'm not going to put it in the bank until I have lots and lots of them and just look at the number and just really feel good about how many's in the bank. No, it's a tool. It's like, I don't sit around and say, I've got 18 pairs of pliers in my toolbox. No, you pull the pliers out and you use them. That's the point of having the pliers. You don't just polish them and look at them and fondle them and stuff. That's not what you do. It's a tool. You use it. So dollars are like that too. They're a tool. You use them. And I never didn't really understand that. And I think that we need to do something about that. That's what I think. I think that the next level in this homesteading / farming, with all the information that we've gathered up about how to do these processes, is to let's start talking about the business, right? For the people who would like to take this to a business level, which I think that's all of you, honestly. Let's say that you come out with a statement like, "Oh, I just want to grow food for myself and my family. I ain't looking to get rich." I've heard people say that so many times. I ain't looking to get rich. It's about a dumb statement, I think. You don't want to be rich. You don't want to have enough money to, be able to do the things in life that are available to us here. But you got to have these. You got to have this currency to do that. You don't want that, huh? Oh, well, yeah, but then why do you say that? Why do you say I don't want to be rich? That's kind of a dumb thing to say. And what is rich? Is that just a bunch of dollars, or is rich like if you had a bunch of dollars and you said I'm rich, would you live in the ghetto? No, you'd get a place, maybe on the coast with a view, with jet skis and bikinis and stuff. That would be quality of life, and that would come with, because I'm rich, I've got this money. Well, a lot of us that are running homesteads and small farms, we live in really nice places. I live in a really nice place. I look around here, and I didn't used to think that a maple tree was beautiful, and it's on my property. And when I look at it, and it's, I don't know, 100 feet tall, and you think, I own that? How can I own that? It's like, how you can't. Like, I guess the robins that are on my lawn, I guess I own them because they're on my lawn. I guess. I don't know. It doesn't seem right, but it's quality of life. It's my economy, right? And so we are getting ready to launch something. And I was like, we had a business meeting today, and I thought, how how am I going to wrap my head around what I am supposed to do here? So we've Joe has come on, and he said, I want to help you develop this. In turn, I want some of the profits. In essence, I want to work for the farm again. Okay, cool. I'm totally on board with that. He said, I'm willing to do some hourly work for you. And I was like, yeah, that's what I need. I really need that hourly work because he's really good at anything that, you know, fabrication, carpentry, really anything. He's really good at it. Very efficient, very quick. Things move along. I don't have to tell him what to do. I show him like a half of what I want done, and he fills in the rest. He's really good. Excellent employee. But he's like, no, I want more than that. I want to develop this, and I want to get a membership deal going, and I want half the proceeds of the membership drive. I was like, okay, well, membership, what's that all about? And so we had to develop a different or an advanced curriculum for the homesteader. Like I don't really tell you guys everything because a lot of it's really hard to get into. But there are things that are explainable to the person who is going to do the homestead as we have done it and do it as a business. And I think we're going to, and we are going to, like I touched on it before. I said, well, we got to have affiliate farms and all this stuff, which I think we have to have affiliate farms because each one of those farms has a set of skills that we could call on, you know, to help us or someone else or their expertise. Because there's people that are picking up skills that that we just haven't had time to pick up right yet. So we're going to do a membership deal, and we are going to put some of our content for the people who are members, and they get a really good deal because you get the video courses available to you. So every time we make a new video course, you don't have to, you know, buy that course. You would just, as a member, it's there available to you. And then where we've kind of pulled back our Wednesday night, our Q&A, we will put it'd be more of an advanced Q&A, and they would be Zoom calls, and members would have access to those Zoom calls every week. You could go. So and the beauty of that is if you are going the direction that we are going, or that you want to travel the path we've traveled, we are willing to help you do that. And we'll say, do this, don't do this. Here's what you got to look out for in this. And see what I'm doing? I'm backfilling my position. But I want about 20 people to backfill me. No, I want more than that. I want 1,000 people to backfill me. So I don't think we'll probably get 1,000 people on a Zoom call, probably, but that's my number right there. 1,000 people to backfill me, and then those 1,000 people get 1,000 under them, you know, that they can train, and that might be a healthy number. If we started off, let's say, a serious number, 25, and those 25 people had 25 people under them and 25 people under them, you know, all of a sudden now you'd be in the line at the grocery store, and the baggers would be talking about how many weeks it takes for a chicken before it starts to gestate. And the guy from the register 3 would yell over, 16. Don't you know that? But this stuff should be general knowledge. I mean, growing our own food should be general knowledge. It shouldn't be a mystery that, as the number 2 vet for the state said, that leave farming to us experts, right? And why did he do that? What was his program? His program was centralization of the food supply. And you only have a few people that know how it's done. That's not good. I mean, food is an essential commodity. We have to have that. The people that entered into that centralized food system, I think they're under a spell. I mean, you can't either that or they do it to them when they're about 18 years old and they're in college. And they tell them, oh, this is the way of the future. This is good. This is really good. This is going to work. If you tried to teach that to a 30-year-old guy, he'd be like, this is kind of dumb, actually. This is fragile. People could get starved doing this, But that, what are they doing now? I mean, if I'm wrong about this, then why isn't our illustrious United States Department of Agriculture saying, we have the solution. We've got the solution to the food crisis. Why aren't they doing that? They should. Ain't they the educated ones? Ain't they? No, I don't think so. I think actually, I can't prove this, but I think they would be the ones that benefit from there ain't no money in farming. Okay? They're the ones, I think, that goes to. Because I certainly would say that. That would be kind of stupid. If there ain't no money in farming, how did I pay for that gasoline that I just burned in my car to drive into Cadillac and buy a drill set? I needed, them Ryobi cordless drills. We burned one of them things out. We used it so much, burned it out. Them things. And I ain't going to just roll over. I'm going to get me a new one. I'm hamming it up for you. But I realized, I got people down in Greenbow, Alabama, listen to me. So that whole there ain't no money in farming thing is a damn lie. And I'm sick and tired of hearing it. And I want you to know that if you go this route with me, I'm proud of you. And keep going. And don't quit. No matter what anybody says, don't quit. Don't fall into this hobby farming thing. Don't listen to them say that to you. Don't, is this a hobby pork chop here that we're having for dinner? Is this hobby glass of milk that I'm drinking here? No, we're real farmers. We're the ones that take it to the end. We don't just we just don't make a commodity that somebody else is going to turn into macaroni and cheese. We're doing the real thing. We're it, actually, is what I'm saying. So what I would like is when this launches, Joe wants to launch it, I think, the week after the 4th of July, sometime in there. And he's going to make a pitch, I think. And I would like all of us, I would like all of you to join in to this. And what this is going to do with this this membership thing, as you know, we cannot accept a super chat anymore, right? Because we have under 10,000 or under a certain number. I'm not sure what the number is. We had 10,000 subscribers before, but we were throttled really hard. And so we decided to go with a different title, and we went to the Anyone Can Farm experience, and we're going to stay with that. And we would like to get that up to 10,000 subscribers. We'd like to have it up to 50,000 subscribers, right? But why? Why do I want to do that? I want to do that because it is the right thing to do, right? It's the right thing to do. America, the food supply system needs to be back in the hands of people who aren't going to do stupid things like burn down processing centers, or the commander-in-chief that comes out and says, there's going to be food shortages, so get used to it. No, those are stupid people, and we got to quit listening to those people. We have to do what is right, regardless of what that idiot bag says in any of these stupid departments. We just have to do what's right. And throwing stones at them doesn't do any good. They're not designed to create a stable, robust system. They are not designed to do that. They are designed to make a system that can be controlled by a few so that they can reap, the majority of the profits. That's what that system is all about. And oh boy, it's everywhere. Actually, Joe was telling me today, and I had to kind of, oh really? He was telling me that he's got a media business, Nomad Media. If you guys don't know, he's one that's doing all of the videos for us. We're actually working together, and he has a commitment on Tribe Day he was telling me about, and he couldn't get out of it. So he won't be here. So he's having to hire somebody else to come in and do the media, but he's lining it all out. They're just going to be taking the pictures. But it's a shame because he would really groove on the vibe, right? We groove on the vibe. You dig my rap, he would groove on that vibe. But he's not going to be able to be here, but he was going to be at a different thing. And I said, oh, are you doing drone work there? And he says, well, I can't officially do it because I'm not certified. Not certified. And I said, really? You got to be certified to do a wedding with a drone? And he's like, well, yeah, but it's only $50 and you watch a half-hour video. I said, well, who does the certification? Oh, the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration. Oh, okay. See? So it's all about control. And I said, well, gee, what happens if you aren't certified? Do they have like guys walking around and they see a drone and they find out who's flying it and say, let me see your certification right now? No. And then the conversation went from there. And then we started talking about ham radios. Like ham radios, I got buddies that do ham radios. They're really into it. But it was like their career field when they were in the military. So they're just really all about comm. And it used to be they would be like, oh no, don't get caught using a ham radio without a FCC license. You got to be certified. I said, well, how are they going to know? Who knows? Well, actually, nobody knows, and nobody cares, right? And they don't have people that are assigned to catch people who didn't take the test. They don't have those people. It's like on the road, when we're out on the highway, they have people. Like if you're out there and you don't have a driver's license and you get pulled over by a statey, he's going to know you don't have you don't have a license. And I don't know what would happen from there, actually. To be honest with you, if you don't have a license, if you say, that is true, officer, I do not have a license. I have no agreement with you at all. Are you telling me that I can't drive on this road without a license? I don't think he's going to say yes. I think he's going to say, well, you really should get one. And you say, okay, I'll get one, but I don't have one now. Because like no license, no agreement. Are you telling me that I can buy a ham radio off Amazon? I could buy it right now, and I can push the button on the side, and I can say, hello, hello. Can anybody hear me? Are you telling me that if I do that without a piece of paper in my pocket saying I have permission to do that from the FCC, then I have just broken a law? I mean, are the airwaves, do they belong to the FCC? Does that radio belong to the FCC? No, it don't. So that's part of thinking outside of the box as far as the food system goes. Is if you go running to the people who are trying to keep the genie in the bottle and say, what could I do on my farm to make money? You're never going to hear one of them say, you know what? You could raise these pigs, feed them on pasture, process them yourself, build a hanging room, make them into prosciuttos. Each one of those prosciuttos is worth about $1,500. You got 2 back legs on the pig. I'd say $3,000 is a pretty good take. But there ain't no money in farm. They will never tell you to do that. As a matter of fact, they would say, you can't do that. We don't have any criteria to license you to do that. So therefore, you can't do it. Where if you say, well, I'm not asking for your permission. I'm an American citizen, and my right to make prosciutto is guaranteed under the Fifth Amendment. So sayonara. That's thinking outside the box. But the whole mindset of making money on the homestead is something that I want to really open up with this new thing we're doing. And it is called, I'm going to sign off here. I actually advocated for, I wanted to call it the clan. I did. I like the word clan. Just because it would freak out about half the people. And I don't want them coming anyway. But I got overruled on this, and it's going to be called the Tribe Plus. And that's a marketing thing. You don't want to totally throw people off. And this way people can say, oh, Tribe Plus, what's that? Oh, this is where we're going to delve into the profitability side as well as other things of homesteading. And Mark and Jill are going to tell you exactly what they did and are welcoming you to step in their footsteps. Here they are. And you can do the same thing that they did. Anyone can farm. And we've had, I'm not saying that we haven't already done this. We've had a pretty good level of success with this right now. Like in anything that you're doing, if you're a salesman, you want to convince people, I guess, that what you're doing is legit. And like, I'm not selling anything that I don't use. I'm not telling you guys to do something that I don't do. I'm not. I mean, even I in my consulting, like with Susan Greaves, I said, hey, you know what you ought to do? You ought to open up a campground. And then I came home and started making immediate plans to make a campground because I said to her, you should do this. And it sounded like a good idea to me as well, because it's easy and it's just a cash flow thing. It's going to pay me for very little effort. I got to mow lawns and maybe talk to people once in a while, which I like doing both. So we've actually had people on here. I think Sean's probably on here, and the DeClercs are on here, and I bet the Stumpos are listening in. That's my feeling. They're listening in, but they're not saying nothing. They have actually, Joe Brown, taken my advice and built butcher shops. Justin built a butcher shop. Crunchy Mama, DeClercs, Stumpos, Joe Brown, Tim Milano. Let's see who else. I had a list of about 9 people that I know of that did it. Oh, and then Ben Carlson said that he was gonna build one, and I believe he will. He's a doer. Andy. Let's see who else. Right off, I don't want to miss anybody, because you're all really important to me, and I hate the thought of somebody missing my name, you know. Let me look through here. Oops. Oh, Inga's people, Hidden Creek, the Hidden Creek people, they've got a butchering outfit. Al Vindicti, he's getting into it. Maybe you're going to build something. I don't know. So in marketing, that's what you want to do. You convince people that the direction that you're going is a good direction, and then usually you say, "And I can help you get there." You know, and there's got to be a level of believability. So there must be, because people are buying in and they're building their own butcher shops, and so that's good. That's really good. You know, that's a my thing is a little bit different, I think. You know, I'm working towards a different outcome in the end, but I would like to see lots of people doing this, like lots. So let's say we've got 9 people that are doing it, and they start doing well. Well, have we equipped them to do well yet? And that's my. Oh, Sean's building one too. Okay, Sean, I want to see those pictures. And that's my. Some excitement happening by the farm. Guess who's selling? You better tell me what's going on, because I got your daughter sent me something today, and it was a farm that was for sale, but it was like $429,000 for like 30 acres. Could that be the neighbor, the one that caused them all that problem? Oh, wouldn't that be rich? That would be rich. But I think the next level that we're going to go to in this membership deal, we want to cross the T's and dot the I's, and make sure that Ken, okay, that you all have got everything that we've got, everything we can give you. Okay, so that's the idea of this. This is coming. Even for some of you that haven't decided to make that move to turning your homestead into a business, it would still be a good place to monitor and listen to, because you really are a business and you don't know it. Let's say you're just saying, well, I want to just raise enough food just for my family. Well, that means you're not going to the store and buying food. That means your budget just changed, because the food at the store they're not giving it to you. They're not paying you to take it. You have to give them money to. So if you create all your own chicken and you do it economically and, you know, efficiently, you're coming out on that. You're coming out on that. But we need to talk about it, because a lot of times people are spending more money raising animals than they would if they just went to the store and bought it. And that's, you know, some of those things have to be discussed, so that but face it, when you first start out, like when I first started out and I had chickens, I brought chickens home. I wasn't thinking, gee, we're going to make money on this. I was thinking, oh, I like that one. What are we going to name this one, you guys? We weren't thinking this is a source of income. But then we'd have more eggs than we could deal with, and we would give them away. So my feeling towards those eggs are, well, it's kind of I got to give it away. Nobody wants to give you any money for it. Why not? Because they're only 79 cents at the store. I'll give you 79 cents for it. I'd rather throw them at cars than give it to you for 79 cents. And then we started realizing the difference between our products and the store products, and came in contact with people that would rather have stuff from the farm than stuff from the store. And now it's not a hard sell, right? Is it a hard sell right now? For me to convince you guys that you could take your homestead to the next level and the next level after that and make more money doing that in the face of the Department of Agriculture telling you there ain't no money in farming. Yeah, like it's a lie. It's a lie. Here we are, right back to where we started from. Okay. 30 acres and one heck of an immaculate home. Well, it's not like I'm going to buy it. And I don't know. Hidden Creek's got a pretty good setup, so I think probably I'd be putting my pigs on the fence line, you know. I'll have to see if you take pecans, they're better than dollars. Do you know what? The other day we were sitting by the campfire, and right there on the ground by my feet, there was a pecan. And it was one of yours. Because if you remember, you brought a bucket of those things, and my kids went bananas for them, right? They had so much flavor. They were so good. And I picked that thing up and I broke it open. The meat in it was still edible, and I ate it. I ate it. I ate it. Yeah, I ate it. All right. So that's my message for tonight. I think that message needs to be echoed out there a couple of times. We're gonna do the show tomorrow night. I realize it's a holiday weekend, but we will do the show tomorrow night, and then we'll press into the 4th of July weekend. But tomorrow night we'll take all the questions you want. Oh, I wanted to tell you this too. The membership drive, it would be more than it would support this channel greatly. It would support this ministry greatly, but you get a lot of value for it. So on the Zoom calls, you will have the ability to go on a Zoom call with me, right? And there would probably be 15 people at a time, something like that. So you all get to go on there. You might not want to go on. You might want to just listen in and see what other people are saying. And it'd be one night of the week. But this would be like a consulting. So when I do consulting with people and they really have a lot of questions that they want to ask, but they don't want to do it on the Friday night or the Wednesday night, they will call the farm, and this happens a lot. And schedule a 1 hour or a half hour phone call. And the questions they're not brain surgery, but they are valid questions, because as you're going down this road, you're going to hit forks in the road. It's like, should I go this way or should I go this way? And depending on what you've done before you got there, there is definitely a right way to go, and there's definitely a wrong way. I mean, I'm accused of being too black and white, but that's the way it is as far as I see it. So I do a lot of telephone consulting, and then I do consulting where I go to people's farms, and that costs more. It costs a lot more, right? And I think we'd rather just do telephone consulting. And here's the part of consulting. This is the special sauce. I did a consulting at, let's say, a guy's farm down by Ludington. Let's say. I won't use any names. And I wanted to kind of tear the guy's head open and go, blah, just give him a fire hose, all the stuff he needs to know. But I had to hold myself and say, he's just starting. He's just learning how to, feed pigs. Just starting, right? Don't. But now's a good time for me to tell you this. You need to do this. And if somebody's paying you to be there to tell them what to do, I don't have a problem at all saying, don't do that. Do this, right? If I'm sure. right? And at this stage of the game, I can be sure. I can be sure. I can be unsure too. I mean, that exists. And, part of being a good consultant or a good military person, actually, Andy would know this, is, you stand before a board and say, well, I could bullshit you on this, but I think I'll just tell you, I'm not sure the answer to that. I'll have to get back to you if you'd like me to. That people respect you for that if you don't know. But when you just go